welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video, I'm super excited to share with you about the Realme 11 5G that just landed here in Malaysia. Now I've actually been using this device for the past few days, and just in case you're wondering about the price, this is going for RM1199 straight off the bat, and you do get 8GB of RAM and 256GB of internal memory. But anyways, let's talk about this phone. So like I said, I've been using it for the past week actually, and there are 5 things that really stood out to me. So let's talk a bit about them. Now the first thing that stood out to me was all about the cameras at the back. Now although on paper you only have 2 sensors here, that is actually a 108MP main sensor and a 2MP sensor, but the cool feature that you don't really see here is actually that 3x in sensor zoom. Now whenever we talk about 3x in sensor zoom, the whole idea here is to give you even better zoom quality compared to using a typical digital zoom. So you might be wondering to yourself, like, what's so useful about this? Well, with a 3x in sensor zoom, you're actually able to capture a lot of different perspectives in your photography. So I think it really encourages you to be a bit more creative. And you guys know that Realme has really been into creating a lot of street filters. There's actually a couple of street filters already built into the phone itself, but my personal favorite is the cinematic one, and that's because a lot of photos that I'm going to show you right now is actually taken and exported straight out of the phone. No edits have been done, and you can see for yourself, they do look very, very unique, and they give you a sort of vibe to the pictures that you can't really find on another device. So I think that 3x in sensor zoom with the Realme 11 5G here is doing really, really well. Now moving on to the second point that really stood out for me, and that's actually in terms of the battery. Now we talk about 5000 mAh batteries all the time, and that's actually what you get in here as well. But I've actually been using this phone to take a lot of photographs, and I was actually testing out its 5G to see how strong it was in KL. Good news, everything worked really fine, and we actually managed to get really good speeds of 5G on the Realme 11. But in terms of battery life, it actually stood out really well and lasted about 6 to 7 hours of screen on time with those heavy usage. So if you're looking for something, a phone that is able to last you through an entire day on 5G, this Realme 11 will do that. In case you're wondering about charging though, this phone does support 67W SUPERVOOC charging with the charger included in the box, and it actually does 0 to 50% in under 20 minutes, which is really quick, guys. So yeah, good battery and fast charging. Alright, now moving on to the third point that actually stood out to me here, and that's actually in the display. I'm going to show it to you guys real quick. Right here, we do have a very large 6.72-inch display, and it refreshes at 120Hz. That means that everything browsing on the phone is going to be very smooth. The best part here is that this display is actually a dynamic display. That means that the refresh rate is able to switch on its own depending on what you are doing to actually preserve a bit more battery. So again, this all contributes to having that great battery life. Last but not least, it's also worth mentioning here that although this is an LCD display, I noticed that there were very minimal color shift whenever you tilt the device, and I think that is very important because we are always looking at our phones at different angles, and with minimal color shifts, you're able to enjoy a very accurate color on the display of here. Alright guys, so moving on to the fourth point that really stood out to me, and that's actually in terms of its design. Now take a look at this, guys. I personally think that the Realme 11 5G is a very minimalistic kind of phone. There's barely any writings at the back, only the Realme logo. You have the very nice circular cutout for its camera module. Realme says that this is supposed to resemble a high-end premium watch, and I do like it very much. And overall, the flat frames all around actually gives you a very solid feel and a very premium kind of overall vibe to the Realme 11. So again, very good stuff there in terms of the design. Alright, moving on to the fifth and final thing that actually stood out to me, and that's actually in terms of the processing power. Now what we have here is actually the Dimensity 6100 Plus 5G, which I have mentioned earlier on has very good 5G connectivity, but also in terms of just doing your browsing on a day-to-day, your social media, light gaming, everything actually ran very smoothly on the Realme 11. It barely had any lags or delays. Again, this is a very smooth going device, and with the 8GB of RAM on board, you can actually expand it by an additional 8GB. It also comes with that 256GB of memory that I mentioned earlier on as well, but you can also put in a micro SD card slot of up to 2TB. So again, a very easy and convenient way to upgrade your memory if you feel the need to do so. Alright guys, so overall, what do I think about this Realme 11 5G? Well, I would say that the one main feature that really stood out for me is actually still in terms of that camera, because with that 3x in sensor zoom, you're actually able to take pictures at a very different kind of perspective. Again, the picture saving was actually very quick as well. The entire picture shooting, photo shooting process was very smooth, and I'm very happy with what the camera is able to do on this Realme 11 5G. So with that said, thank you for watching today's video all the way to the end. If you have any further questions that you would like to ask, feel free to drop a comment down below. Don't forget to drop a like, sub to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Do take care and stay safe. Bye bye.